So let's try writing a linear equation in slope-intercept form when all we've got is just a verbal description. So this problem says the rent charged for space in an office building is a linear relationship related to the size of the space rented. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the rent at West Main Street office rentals. And then we're given a graphic that explains the relationship between size and rent. So two pretty important pieces of information here. It says 600 square feet is $750, and then 900 square feet is $1,150. So these two pieces of information is all we get for our slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, of course, is y equals mx plus b, and we have to somehow use these two pieces of information, that 600 feet costs $750 and that 900 feet costs $1,150, to find both the slope, which is m, and the y-intercept, which is b. Okay, so with all problems that are like this, anytime you get a problem with two variables, one variable, three variables, whatever, step number one is always to define your variables. So the two things we're measuring here are explained to us right in the graphic. It is square feet. That's one of our variables. So let's say x is going to be the number of square feet. And then the other variable is going to be right there, dollars. So we're going to say the cost in dollars. There we go. Okay, so square feet and dollars. All right, well, we know that 600 square feet is $750. And if we're going to say square feet is X and cost is dollars, we could write that as a coordinate. All coordinates are X, Y. So we could say that 600, 750 is the coordinate 600, 750. That would be an X and a Y coordinate. And then we can do the same thing with the 900 square feet. 900 square feet costs $1,150. And we already know a way to find slope when we are given two coordinate pairs, and that is find the difference in y, find the difference in x, and then do y over x to get our rise over run. So this column right here was our x, and this column right here, those were our y's. And so let's go ahead and find the difference in our y's. We can do 750 minus 1150. Those are our y's. And we can do 600 minus 900. That's the difference in our x's. So what we're trying to figure out is how many square feet did we increase by, and then how much money did it cost us for that extra square footage. So 750 minus 1150 is negative 400, and 600 minus 900 is negative 300. A negative over a negative is a positive, and 400 over 300 reduces to 4/3. So there's our slope right there. Our slope is 4/3. And if you're screaming at your screen right now saying, why didn't you switch those? Why didn't you do 1150 first and 900 first so you would have got positives? I could have. I could have done that so I had positives instead of negative over negative, but it doesn't matter. It comes out positive either way. So 4/3 is my slope. So what this means is that I pay $4 for every 3 square feet. $4 for every 3 square feet. That's how much it costs. Okay, 3 more square feet cost me $4 more. Okay, now the second part is a little trickier. How am I supposed to find the y-intercept? Well, let's ask ourselves, what does the y-intercept mean in this problem? Y-intercept means x is 0. X is 0 is the y-intercept. So y-intercept means the cost of a 0 square foot apartment. Or these aren't apartments, these are, what is it, office buildings. A 0 square foot building. Now, of course, nobody's going to sell you a 0 square foot building. That's not the point. The point is, this is the spot where our x equals 0. That's what the y-intercept is. So it's going to be y equals mx plus b, except x is 0. And our question is, what is the b when x is 0? Or what is the y, rather, when x is 0? That's what we want to figure out. What's the y when x is 0? Well, what can we do? We know what the m is. So we did y equals mx plus b. We don't know b yet, obviously, but we do know that the m is 4/3. I would like to know what is the y when x is 0. I can't replace the x with a 0, though, because I don't know what b or y would be in that case. Is there a value of y that I do know for an x, though? In other words, is there an xy pair that I do know? And the answer is yes. There's actually two xy pairs that I know. I know that when x is 600, y is 750, and I know that when x is 900, y is 1150. I only need one of those coordinate pairs. I can use either one of those for my x and y and then solve for b. Okay, fine. Which one of those should I use? Should I use 600, 750, or should I use 900, 1150? Well, if I can use either one, I think I'm going to use the one that has the smaller numbers. I'm going to use 600, 750. They're both okay. Let's use the little numbers. So let's go ahead and do 600, 750. Hey, buddy.
I want to put this game away and do an easy game.
Okay, that sounds good. It's my assistant there. I promised him that I would play a game with him whenever I was done with this video. He's a little impatient. So I'm going to replace the x and y here with 750 for y and 600 for x. And then let's figure out what's b in that case. Okay, so 4/3 times 600. I could use a calculator to figure that out. And 4/3 times 600 is 800. So I get 750 equals 800 plus b. So 800 plus what is 750? Obviously, it's going to be a negative number. If I'm at 800 and I add something and I get a lower number, 750, obviously I'm adding a negative. You may already know it just by looking, but if you don't, you could subtract 800 from both sides. This is the subtraction property of equality. And we get negative 50 for our value of b. So b is negative 50. So what this means is our final equation, now that we have slope and y-intercept, is y equals 4/3 x minus 50. So this means that a 0 square foot apartment would cost negative $50. In other words, somebody would pay me $50 for a 0 square foot apartment. Of course, does not make sense at all, but that's okay. Nobody's selling a 0 square foot apartment. The slope means that it costs $4 for every 3 square feet that I add on after that. So this is the equation in slope-intercept form that will tell me, based on the number of square feet I want, how much I can expect to pay for a certain size, I don't know why I keep saying apartment, for a certain size building for my business.